Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Honey, what are you listening to?
Mom!
Your teen might not share everything with you, but teens share everything with each other. And certain everyday behaviors, like sharing food, drinks, or kisses, could mean sharing bacteria that can cause meningococcal disease known as meningitis. Although meningitis is uncommon, about 1 in 10 who develop it will die. Ask your teen's doctor about missing meningitis vaccinations. Learn more at meningitis.com. Vaccination may not protect all recipients. Sponsored by GSK.
All right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass Podcast with Marsha and Chuck.
Oh, you did put me first.
You like that?
I do like it.
All right, so you guys are like, well, who's Marsha? I don't know who that is. Well, that is my lovely wife, Marsha.
Oh,
so,
lovely.
Marsha used to be a professional broadcaster back in the day.
Never
you guys
professional.
Probably don't realize that.
Never professional.
No. I think radio station DJ or college DJ.
Yeah, but college.
That still sounds like a professional.
Well, I did do 30 hours a week, but I still sounded like a little girl is what people told me. So I don't know.
That was a few years ago, so whatever. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about building, I'm going to say, a bug-out garden. And what I mean by that is when you leave your homestead, you know, I'm sure you build up a nice garden at where you live and whatever, but you're planning to bug out to a camp, or maybe even you have to bug out and just go start from scratch and new. And if you need to establish a garden, what tools you need to bring, what, things you might want to, seeds, ideas of how to plant or what to do, what to look for when you're picking a garden location. But this is starting from scratch, not necessarily on your property, although you'll probably get some good ideas for your own garden and your own, layout. So a lot of good stuff here. But Kevin, once again, is off camping and supposedly gathering new knowledge to bring back to you guys. I don't know if that happens.
You know, he's just partying, right?
He's just partying.
Yeah,
he's just drinking whiskey and smoking cigars.
No, that would be our party.
Oh, that's our party?
Yeah.
All right. So, there's a lot of excitement out there. Actually, a while back, I think it was Angela, one of our people in the Facebook group, actually in the Prepping Badass group, they requested that, actually she requested that, you always talk about your wives. Maybe you should incorporate them into a show. Well, today is the day. So get excited. Grab a cold beer. Get nervous. Marsha's a little nervous.
Yeah,
we're all excited. It's going to be great. So basically, when you go and you get out to your camp and whatever, and we'll talk about things we need to bring with us in a second. We could start there.
Well, let's start about where you're coming from, though. Because if you are serious about prepping, you should be serious about gardening.
Yeah, they go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think so. Because you got to have experience. Because I think that a lot of us learn from our parents or from a grandparent or neighbor on how to do some kind of gardening. But it really is one of those things where there's always a lot to learn and you don't really know till you get into it. So you could be gardening. We're in New York. It's a lot different climate than you go down south. You go up north, sunlight, the kind of soil you have, things like that. If you're going to be kind of going on the run and you don't have an established location to go to, you already have to have a base knowledge of what's going on.
Sounds right.
Yep. So you got to start with your home and practicing. And one of the things that's hardest to do is build some compost.
Kevin always talks about compost.
Well,
I'm a little afraid of compost.
when you're home, you can buy compost in a bag, spread it out.
I know how to do that. I can
You're
throw
done.
the bags in the back of the truck.
Yep, super easy. But if you're going on the run, or even if you have a location somewhere else, you're not going to be bringing bags of compost. And it sounds easy. Oh, gather your kitchen scraps and do all that stuff. But it's not
Whenever
so
they say
easy.
compost, I always hear them say dead leaves. I always think dead leaves and worms.
Well,
And guess what's in the forest?
dead leaves and worms.
I like it.
Yeah, but I think
Where am I going wrong?
dead leaves are great, but I think most people, when they think of compost, think kitchen scraps. And kitchen scraps are a lot harder to manage than dead leaves and worms. So if you can build some kind of structure to get a big pile of leaves and keep it there, that's going to be one of the best ways to do it. You can also put dead leaves over where you want to plant stuff and use that, but you really should try to physically break them down, because the smaller bits they are in, the easier it is going to be to decompose.
That's why you're always making me run over them with the lawnmower. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it breaks down a lot quicker, because you think of all the edges that start the decomposition process, but the more smaller edges, more rough edges you have.
Put it in the blender.
Yep, the quicker you have. But the big pile is kind of critical, because you want it to be in one place. You don't want it to blow away. You want to really build up some kind of volume, because when you're using leaf mulch, it really breaks down.
Yeah.
So you can have like 6 feet of leaves and come out with 6 inches of compost, maybe. I don't know if that's the correct ratio or anything, but it's a lot, and it does take time. One of the easiest ways you can do that is chop up leaves and put them in a big black plastic bag. That keeps the moisture level right, and that really starts to decompose really quick. And you could have a bunch of those wherever you land, or tucked away in your little getaway camp or something like that.
Right.
And that's already doing the work for you without you having to really maintain or turn or check the moisture or
Right.
all that stuff.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think a box of garbage bags is something you could easily throw under a seat in a car, or, tied in your bag or whatever. It doesn't sound like it would take up a lot of space or weight.
Yep. So garbage bags, even black tarps that we're going to talk about in another minute, but that'll help things break down really, really easily. But when you're home, you should try to play with building some nice compost, because you have to use, there's a whole layering process. Greens, browns, and moisture is all very important. Temperature, oxygen, rotating it. Our compost results have been Yeah, the leaf stuff has been great, but you have to have so much of that. So just learning how to make compost and how to incorporate any scraps you use. If you are bugging out, that's a perfect way to get rid of some of your garbage and things like that too. Any food residue that you have. It's got to be vegetable. The animal stuff does not go well with a compost heap. No, because it invites critters in, but it's also
So you're saying I have
bacteria.
to have vegetables to get the compost in order to grow the vegetables?
Yes.
Sounds very complex.
Yeah. Well, when you're home, too, you can use chicken manure. You can use rabbit manure if you're learning how to grow either one of those, and that's a great idea. You can even use wild rabbit poop.
It's
Yeah.
everywhere. We do have a dog who's particularly good at finding rabbit poop.
Yeah, but you got to get to it before he eats it. But remember that one Mother Earth News Fair we went to? They were selling rabbit poop in fun little jars.
In fun jars.
Yep, so that's a really good thing for...
Little balls of love.
Yeah, or something like that. Yep. So that's something to be aware of. Try to do some of that now. And overall, any gardening you can do now is just going to increase your knowledge. Playing with the compost, talk about or think about moisture needs and how much you're watering because when you are going somewhere else, you're not going to be able to hook up the sprinkler, hook up the hose. So you got to think about mulch, which could be your leaves right there, or any kind of vegetation, but it can't have the seed head on it. And you got to really try to think of capitalizing on moisture, because you're not going to be able to turn on the hose.
Now, any thoughts when we have our, am I steering the wrong, do you have an agenda of
No.
which way to go here? Okay. So when we go out to our bug out location, either we're walking through the woods or we're walking around our property. Maybe we bought 10 acres in the middle of nowhere of worthless land somewhere, and that's our plan for getting away. How do I select? I mean, obviously you're like, oh, well, this part's cleared. Might be a good spot for the garden. But what are you looking for if you're picking out? Like I was always told, you want like south-facing, kind of hill slope kind of thing.
I'm
Will give you
sure
the longer
that,
season.
yeah, that would be better, but really you got to find a site that has at least 6 hours of sunlight,
Okay.
because otherwise it's going to take something so much longer to grow than if you have 6 to 8 hours of sunlight.
All right.
Some of the things do better in non-sunny locations like lettuce, spinach,
And
but
where you're
any of the
going, you might pick the
fruiting
right seeds.
things,
Okay.
yeah, like peas, beans, lettuce, they all don't need as much intense sunlight. But anything that fruits like tomatoes, zucchini, and corn, any of that stuff needs sun.
Okay. And then we probably want to be by some kind of water supply if we can at all
If you can.
work
yeah.
it out.
You want it fairly level or sloping in one direction. You don't want it in a big valley or a dip, because if you're in any place that has frost, what happens is the frost kind of moves down the hill and will settle in the valleys of things.
Okay. Microclimates.
Oh, microclimates.
Look at me knowing about gardening.
Yep. So you got to look at structures. If there's like big trees, they're going to cast shadows on stuff, and it looks sunny, and you go there in a sunny day. But depending on where the sun rises and how the trees are, that's going to affect the climate of that area.
Now, they always say, like, the morning sun is better. Like, if you had to pick one or the other, you wanted to
is.
get the morning sun.
Yep.
What's that about?
I don't know, really. It's more scientific than I know about, but I know that the stuff in the morning, you want it to dry the morning
The
dew
and all that.
earlier.
Okay.
Yep, and then you can get to harvesting in the morning before the heat really kicks up, because the heat dries out your product and also converts some of the starches, the sugar in the things that make the fruiting things grow. It converts it to starch really quick, and you lose a lot of nutrients and stuff like that. So it's got to be dry, because you spread disease in the morning if it's all wet. If you get blight or some insect pests and a lot of fungal diseases and stuff spread in the wet. So supposedly morning dries it out, and then you can get in there and do what you need to do. But also like by stone walls or something like that, stone holds the heat, so overnight
Okay.
that area won't get as cold.
Nice.
It'll hold that in. So anything that really needs a milder temperature at night, because it's the temperature swings
I
that
can
really
use
can,
stones to make a nice garden bed or something like that.
or buy like an outcropping of that, and also shelter for the wind,
Okay.
because wind can do a lot of damage to the seedlings when they're
I've seen that.
yeah. You
Yeah.
grow nice seedlings, you start them in your house, and you put them outside, and a nice strong wind levels them, and they never quite come back.
Now, you've told me, like, so we go out, we pick our location, we're ready to, all right, I'm going to start gardening. One of the things you talked to me about was tarps. And
Tarps.
just laying
Yeah.
them down. This seemed like a really good idea.
That was the biggest thing I learned this summer. I've been doing some reading, taking some courses, and one of the biggest things I learned about was the tarps, because they do the work so you don't have to.
Oh, I love that. Like the scrubbing bubbles.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you,
how does it
if
work?
you physically take out the weeds, you don't have to remove grass or stuff like that, but anything with seed heads or anything like that. what happens when you disturb the soil, there's all these weed seeds in the soil.
Okay.
And basically anything that you don't want to grow is a weed.
Right.
So it's got all the seeds that are in the top couple inches of the soil. And anytime you disturb that, like you turn it over to loosen up the soil because it's all compacted or something like that, there's all these seeds that get exposed to sunlight, water, and that'll kick off them
and they're
growing.
Ready to go.
Right. So if you physically remove as much of the grass as you can and you use a tarp and you put that down for at least 3 weeks, that kills the emerging seeds of all the weeds that are there. It also keeps the moisture in. It also is a great habitat for earthworms, so that helps naturally aerate the soil.
So it's actually adding heat and moisture, almost creating compost out of the dirt that's right there.
And all the weed seedlings
it's
that
kind of
emerge.
composting all the plants and things that were already there.
I mean, in a pinch, you can do it over grass and stuff too, but if it's really long grass, what's going to happen is it'll just get matted and slimy, and it'll take longer to break down.
Now, I mean, obviously, this is going to put you 3 weeks behind in your planting. However, the benefits gained, and honestly, there's other things you can focus on for that 3 weeks, even if you're sectioning, you're gardening in section A, and you tarp section B and C or whatever.
And have a lot more stuff growing, so while you're getting some other stuff started, like shelter, finding some kind of infrastructure, getting your shelter
you
really secure.
Food. I mean, if your plan is, I'm going to go out and start gardening, you're probably going to die because, gardening is more of a long-term.
Well, that's the thing, too. Everyone's like, oh, well, you have a garden. How come you're not even somebody else I know is like, there's a huge booming garden. How come I don't have snacks?
Yeah, why don't I have snacks?
Because it takes time.
Exactly. And so, that's something you guys got to understand, whatever. But putting in that 3 weeks of patience, while it composts and kind of, kills all the weeds, gets everything out of there. Then you walk in fresh and you can throw in your seeds and they're going to thrive.
Well, optimally, it'll take 3 weeks, but you could have that stuff. If you have a location already set up, you could tarp it now and it would be ready to go whenever you are. But the whole thing is, too, even if you can only tarp it for a day, still some stuff's going to germinate and die, and that's going to cut down on weeding, which is going to reduce competition for your plants getting water, light, and the nutrients they need. So even if it's shorter term, that really helps a lot. It does help the earthworms really love it under there, so they grow and, I don't know how earthworms reproduce.
Oh, it's disturbing.
Is it?
Yeah, I learned in some kind of science class. They
lay
next to each other and
intertwine.
Oh, it's disturbing.
All right. Well,
and there's something about what they're asexual or something. It's.
I don't know, but you'll get a lot
either
more.
Way. They can be whatever they want to be.
You'll get a lot more earthworms there, and that they make the little tunnels in the dirt and everything, so the water can get in there, air can get in there, and.
Yeah, somehow you're very big on me coming in and stomping around and flipping over things with my shovel, and somehow this isn't helpful by your standards.
It is helpful.
Oh,
but you have to aerate the soil, and then when you do all that flipping over, there's all those seeds that are naturally there in the dirt, and that takes care of it. It's called a stale seed bed. So you let everything that is naturally found in the dirt grow and germinate, and then it'll die under the tarp, and it'll be a little added extra compost. But you think that, I weeded it, how is stuff coming up? You're disturbing the dirt, but also a lot of weeds are born on the wind. Yes, they spread by wind. So that's it. So that'll help you get a little head start on that. I don't know. What do you do for 3 weeks while you wait for stuff?
Oh, I can be setting up a camp.
Yeah, you set up the camp.
3 weeks. Let's think.
You start a little bit, and that's the thing. What grows fast? So usually your quickest crop is going to be 20 days. So you have to find stuff to get yourself through 20 days before anything's going to grow and be
apparently
fruitful.
20 days and 3 weeks.
No, because when you get there, you can do it. You can start some easy stuff that doesn't need, and that'll take more physical attention.
All right. Now, up till now, I mean, we were kind of talking about, you know, we're walking into the woods, and here we are. So that's the general sense of that. Now, what kind of tools would you bring for that kind of thing? Like, I'm heading out into the woods on maybe a four-wheeler with a cart, possibly even backpacking, or I might be able to drive my car as far on that old mountain road or whatever into the middle of nowhere. If we're going with kind of limited tools, we weren't able to stage. This isn't a camp we owned and have stuff somewhere new to us. What are you bringing in for tools? What are your essentials to be able to garden?
I would say tarps
Okay.
is the number one.
So obviously we'd probably like thicker tarps if we could plan it, but thinner
It
if we're
doesn't
carrying
have to
them
be
in.
that
No?
thick. I think 6 millimeters is,
Okay.
and they should be black because you don't want the sun to go through it because that just scorches everything, and also doesn't. It also kills the worms if you use the clear one. So you got to use the black tarps, and the 6 millimeters is the goal thickness, I guess. I would bring shovels, hose, and some kind of digging fork. But if you're going by backpack or something like that, maybe just bring a few tool heads and then find the wood part, because you can use
You're
one.
thinking outside the box.
Well, you got to have a handle, but you could find a handle, I would think. Then I guess you'd have to bring an axe as
Skilled
well.
craftsman.
Oh, well, I do have you.
Who knew?
So I would do a hoe, because you're going to have to break up dirt and take care of weeds. And you can use that to cut grass down too. I would have a shovel, because you're going to have to turn dirt over. And that was one of the interesting things we saw in that. What was that Pioneer?
Yeah, I don't know. I know what
That
you mean.
Pioneer Day.
Yeah,
that
we watched some Hulu.
the Canadian people
Yeah.
that were trying to
Me
live
and
like
Kevin talked
Pioneer
about it before. I don't know
days
what
or
it is.
something.
Yeah.
So they were plowing grass
Yeah.
and then planting it in between the furrows that they made. And then it started pouring rain
And
and everything rotted.
yeah, that worked out well.
Yeah. So if you do turn over dirt with grass still attached to it,
Okay.
that can actually break down and help with things too. So you don't have to kill all the grass and pull all the grass out, but you just flip it over so it starts decomposing underneath the dirt.
Composting, if you will.
Yep. In place.
See, if this is a drinking game, that might be our word of the day.
Composting.
Composting and gardening seem to go hand in hand.
So shovel, hoe, knife, because you're going to have to
I
harvest.
like your idea of taking the heads off, though. That really
Yeah.
seems, sharp. That really weight and space.
Yeah.
Both.
So you
get
think of
saved
a
there.
traditional hoe, which has that flattened thing. I guess you'd have to bring a file to keep the edge sharp, right?
Okay, I
Because you
like
don't
that.
have a grinder with
Yep.
electricity.
I'm a bit of a knife sharpener, a blade sharpener, if you will.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you need a knife to harvest. And then I would love to bring a digging spade or a broad fork, because that really loosens up the dirt without bringing all the weed seeds up. But I think you could
Now,
probably
the broad
bring,
kind of looks, for those of you who don't know, it's kind of like
yeah.
a pitchfork.
but
Almost.
long. It's like 3 feet long,
Yeah, now
and
this
the
has
tines
a
are
handle on the
heavy
right and
duty.
left, and it's kind of curved.
Yeah.
Curved forks at the end. And she uses it to aerate the dirt, basically, to get in there, loosen it up without totally flipping it over or destroying it.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of gets in there. But again, that's something you could do with like a pitchfork if that's what you had.
Well, they
as a
have
lesser,
they have digging spades. They look like a pitchfork, but it's
Okay.
just heavier duty metal. Because pitchforks really are for like grass and hay.
So
they
light, like
yeah,
aluminum or
they're
whatever.
super light and they don't. You throw grass with it. So a digging spade is heavier duty. You step on the top of it and then you rock it back and forth, and that breaks it up. But that's only like 9 inches wide and maybe 10 inches, 12 inches long. So you could fit that in a backpack or some kind of bag.
Right.
But a broad fork, 3 foot wide and super
that's
long,
tough.
you're
Tough
not
to have
bringing that.
the hiking in, But it might be something if you're,
If you have a getaway
your getaway location that's already pre-staged.
Yep.
That's another story. Now, the broad fork that a lot of people are getting, they're pretty expensive though. You're in that $200 neighborhood. You're
Yeah.
not.
It's up there.
You're not $20 or $40 or
No, but the digging spade is around $30.
around 30, and you're in. So,
yeah, I think you can find
something to think
20-ish
about
ones.
it. And again, it's up to you. How prepared do you want to be? How hard do you want it to be? The big thing that all this prepping always comes down to, and I know I say this a lot, is how worried are you that this might happen? If you're like, it's a 1 in a million shot, then I think you're kind of an idiot to buy a broad fork just to have it your bug out location, because I'd want to spend $200. But if you think, gee, I think there's a 20% chance, then maybe, that might be something you want. Now, if you're gardening at home and it's your thing, then buying a broad fork is probably the right thing,
Yeah.
And it all depends on your budget and the world you live in. Some people live on $30,000 a year, and some people live on $100,000 a year or $200,000 a
Well,
year.
I think you got to balance
So
it
it's your-
too, though. If you think of time, so the more tools you have, the less time you spend doing one task.
Right.
So you could weed by hand by individually pulling things out, or you could use a hoe and take half the time, or you could use a stirrup hoe that looks like the horse stirrup that you put your foot in. So it's like an open rectangle,
Right.
but that has blades on both sides. So if you do that, you're going to take like 2 minutes to weed something. So all those tools aren't strictly necessary,
Right.
but they cut down on how much time you spend doing something, which enables you to actually garden more space without gasoline, without electricity, without all that stuff. So it helps. You don't have to water as much. You don't have to use any electricity to do the stuff. It's just easier and you get more done. So you have more people to feed. You need
and
more
I can
space.
go back to drinking beer.
Yeah.
All right.
You're going to have
All
to.
the beer that I've stashed for
The
the
bug out
apocalypse.
beer.
Yeah.
You should make a brand of
That
that.
brand, the prepping
Bug out
badass
beer.
bug out beer,
Yeah.
ready for the apocalypse.
Yep.
I'll hop it up. I think that was they used to say an IPA, India Pale Ale. It's extra hoppy, and people like it 'cause it's extra hoppy, whatever. But they actually used to make it ridiculously hoppy because it was the beer they would send off to India to the
Oh,
British
yeah.
soldiers.
Yeah.
And so they made it extra hoppy so that it would survive the long trip and last a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
So, see, maybe we can work something out.
Yeah.
People always say, like, well, why would I want India beer? Well, it's not because it's India beer. It's beer that could survive the trip. And then people actually liked the taste. And when they came back to England, they were like, I really would like some of that beer you used to send us. And that's what kind of got into
Yeah.
that. So,
Extra hoppy.
I don't know, little insight
Yeah.
into the world.
I like it.
All right. Now, I guess we're kind of moving on to the bug out location, maybe, if we have a stage.
Well,
one.
before you get to it,
All right.
I think we should take a foraging class.
Well, you always want to take a foraging. All I hear, let's go learn about mushrooms. Let's go learn about. But, actually, you guys might want to go back. We actually did an excellent podcast, me and Kevin, on foraging.
Uh-huh.
And there were some books read, some knowledge imparted. But, no, I understand. I mean, you really should learn about foraging in your area. And that's going to give you a lot of insight on what seeds and what kind of things you should be stockpiling, because you're going to see what's really thriving naturally.
Well,
in your
that's a
environment.
clue of what you see what's thriving naturally. It'll help you figure out where's a good growing spot. But if you're traveling somewhere on foot, anything that you can find to eat will supplement what you're already carrying. So, fruits, berries, nuts, I guess mushrooms, although mushrooms scare me.
They scared. You know what? I've been easing into mushrooms. I think. I think there's some like ones that are obvious and very unique. That kind of.
All the bright color ones don't go near.
That's the trick.
Yeah.
But that you're gonna be like, oh, well, you know what? I know that's what, chicken of the woods or whatever the hell it is, right? I mean, but you'll see certain ones that just stand out, and don't have a villainous counterpart. You know?
But I just think it would be nice to know before you're desperate to know.
Oh, I
so
think
you
definitely.
spot it. It's more regular. You know where to look. You take your hikes. You go camping. All that stuff you
I
see.
love people foraging. I think that's huge.
Yeah,
I mean,
think
that's definitely because the bottom line. You just said it a minute ago. 20 days before you're getting a harvest, and 20 days is a long time. And you know what? Carrying 20 days worth of food
is a lot.
Is a big thing. Now, obviously, you might be shooting some critters or, who knows what. But, I mean, there's other ways to get food. But foraging, huge asset. And, you can't survive on meat and prepping badass beer alone.
Yeah.
So,
you would be happy, I think, living
with
on meat and beer.
I mean, I've done it for years.
As
so
long
I
as
don't
there's
know.
garlic.
Garlic, yeah, I can natural garlic, right? And ramps and whatever else. They always say, they went and they got all the ramps out of the forest. I don't know.
We could be rich if we found ramps. It was like $7.99 a pound.
Were they? Yeah, so maybe that's the trick. I don't know. Now, actually, before maybe I get into the homestead part, what kind of seeds would you want to, and how would you go about getting some seeds beforehand? Or
well, there's a
figuring that
lot of, there's a Patriot Seed Supply, which we've
which
tried.
you weren't particularly in love with, though.
I wasn't in love with it because I don't know if it's our location or...
It was a nice mix of seeds.
It's a great mix of seeds. But it's got the big variety there. And the good thing about their seeds is they have a lot of stuff that is seeded when it's mature so that you can harvest the seed and continue to have a crop.
Now, how's that different? I don't even understand.
Because there's modern hybrids of vegetables now. So they are bred for certain characteristics. But some of those, a lot of them, if you save the seeds, they don't reproduce what you had before. No, they'll grow, but it'll be like weird stuff.
Huh.
Or it won't grow at all. It doesn't have seeds that are fertile. So a lot of the heirloom varieties are ones that if you let mature, and like I have lettuce back there that I'm trying, that it looks like a mini tree because it's all seeded. It gets like seed stalks on the top. You dry those out and harvest it, you can have another crop.
Okay.
So that was the Swiss chard that I let go because I wanted to see if I could get seeds from it.
Right.
Because it grows and Swiss chard looks like kale or lettuce, like on a bigger stalk with almost like celery-like stalks with big leaves on it. And not anyone's... Well, I like Swiss chard, but everyone else is like, oh, you're making Swiss chard. But you chop it up and you put it in soups or stews, and it's vitamin C and a lot of...
Sounds like it's better than having dandelion soup every day.
Yes. So, but that, if you let the plant really mature, it sends out the stalk at the top, and it's got all the little seeds on it. You dry those, there's your next crop. So... anything that's heirloom is going to be able to be seeded mostly, but there's simple things that you don't even need a certain variety to. Garlic. They're all self-perpetuating crops. So
now, garlic's super easy. Like, we just take them.
Garlic was super easy. We were surprised at how easy.
We just bought, you just buy a normal thing of garlic.
You want it to be organic.
Okay.
when you buy it in a store, just because the other ones sometimes they spray with a preservative so it won't rot as quick, and that'll inhibit them growing in the
All right.
in the dirt. But
And you just basically break off each clove.
Yep.
Clove, I can talk. And you bury it. It was about a half inch.
it was finger
Yeah.
this much.
So 2 inches, inch and a half. And
This much you could
about
see
that
it.
much. And but you just drop it in the ground, and I don't know, you can see where it wants to grow out. Like usually if you look, well, you know what, you think of the bulb, it has like the knot on one end.
Yep.
And then they all come to a point.
And that's the end
So
you should put down.
The knot goes down in the ground, and the point
Right.
is
So you break
pointing
it up. It's like usually, I
and
don't
you're
know.
planting like 6 of them. Around here, we're planting them around our fruit trees because it keeps the deer away.
It does keep the deer away, so that's a great
So
extra
we do it around
bonus
the base, and so each clove is going to give you
head.
a new full head. That'll happen. What you're going to look for is you usually plant it in the fall. About midsummer, they call them scapes, tall
So-
like green, little shoots that come up.
Looks like a thicker than a blade of grass, but it curls up at the top, and if you leave it,
This
it
is where
has
it
a
gets
little
tricky.
head.
Now the head you want to snip off, because what'll happen is that'll get bigger.
And the underneath the ground
Will
one will
stop
get
growing.
smaller.
So you want to cut the top off. Now what's cool too is this long blade of grass is something you can eat and use for seasoning and tastes like garlic already. Think of kind of like chives or
Yeah.
like that, but it's kind of cool and it's very garlicky and tasty and nice.
Yeah.
And
And
so
it
they
does
call 'em
keep the
scapes.
deer away too. So when you're planting the garlic and you peel the cloves, you can use all that papery residue on top of like your garden beds or around your fruit trees. We do it all to keep the deer back enough away from the fruit trees so they just don't eat it down to nubs. But that's a great repellent for a lot of animals, although I wish it worked better for chipmunks.
Yeah, chipmunks are your nemesis.
Yes, they are. I don't like them.
Yes, one day I'm going to get rid of your chipmunks. I got rid of the groundhogs now.
Yep. So garlic is a good one. Potatoes are another one.
Okay.
So for potatoes, you just need a piece with an eye in it. And those
the little
eyes,
dimples.
the dimple, but you want to put it in a dark space. And those little nubs will grow out. And that's going to be the root of your plant. So you can plant a whole potato or you can cut a large potato into pieces. And as long as each piece has an eye in it, that's going to grow into a potato plant, which could produce, I don't know how many potatoes because I have yet to discover the secret of potatoes.
Yeah, nobody really knows what happens under the ground. All I know is I plant a bunch of potatoes and then I have a bunch of potatoes in the ground.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, see? Yeah, that seems something's fishy.
Yeah,
there.
but this year, most of them were smaller that I had saved, but some
Right.
of them were bigger. So for every probably piece of potato I planted, I probably got like 8 to 10 potatoes. So it's
That
magic.
sounds like a pretty good yield.
It's
Yeah.
magic.
No, and
Not as many as I want, because they say if you put it, so you cut the potatoes, you let them dry out for a day, because that helps against rot, so it kind of seals the outside edge before you put it in the dirt.
All right.
You plant it in the dirt, and as the potato sprouts up, you're supposed to add dirt on top of it, because the potatoes grow at the bottom of the plant. So the higher you put the dirt, supposedly you have more area to grow potatoes, and they have those barrels, and we made the square boxes that you add another layer on top of it and then fill it with dirt and add another layer of the box on top of it, and it's supposed to grow potatoes all along the roots, but I only find the potatoes at the very bottom, so there's got to be something that I'm missing.
Trick or not.
But you can't let the potatoes be exposed to sunlight, because if they're exposed to sunlight and they're green, they have a substance in it that's like poison that
I
makes
try
you
not
sick.
to have poison in my food.
I try that too.
Crapshoot.
Yeah, so green potatoes, that's what they say. But if it's a little green, you just cut the green off. But if it's like solid green, that means don't eat it.
All right, good to know.
So potatoes, but then you harvest them, you save a few for seed, and then you plant your next batch of potatoes. So self-perpetuating.
So even though a slightly less exciting germination rate with My Patriot Supply, you're saying you were happy?
Yeah,
with
because
the
I had a
seeds?
lot. So kale, that's the kale I tried it. The lettuce.
And
I
say
did.
slightly less germination rate, but that's actually, I mean, it's because they're not,
Well, they were 3
they're
years
heirloom,
old.
they're not,
They were 3 years old when
Okay.
I planted them, and they're vacuum packed. So you should be able to take those seeds and they keep for a while because they're vacuum packed. They're not in paper. They're all foil, moisture proof. They come in a can, so you can really carry it. And there's a huge variety.
I like it.
So that was good.
It wasn't that much. It might have been as much as $29 for the big can. But it
Well,
might
they have
even
a
been
bunch. They
19
have
or-
like the Victory Garden one, which is a little bit of everything. They have a medicinal one,
Oh, I like.
so for
herbs and all
medicinal
that, yeah.
plants, and they have a tea garden one.
Who doesn't like tea, really?
I love tea.
I mean, if you figure you don't have alcohol in the end of the world,
you want tea?
you wish you had that tea garden going.
You won't have coffee unless you
Well,
don't live
I've already
around
planned
here.
for that. Yeah, no, I've planned for
Coffee
so we're
and
good.
toilet paper, we're set.
Coffee and poo paper, you don't mess around. You know, there's certain things you got to realize. You got a responsibility, and you know you got to take care of your family and provide. Yeah. So that's, and you know, there's a million guys who you look on like eBay. They'll be like a billion, you know, survival seed packet for like $4 and whatever. I have no idea. But I would say if you're going to buy something like that,
You want to
test them
look
out.
for something that's going to really keep. So you need the vacuum packed. You need the foil packets because critters aren't getting in them.
Yeah.
Moisture isn't getting in it.
No. I go with
And
the
they
company
have
I
a
trust.
lot in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot. So you could really get probably multiple crops out of it.
Okay.
Um,
And then
or
obviously you're stealing
huge
new
ones.
seeds for the next.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And-
mean, I'll put a link in the show notes for My Patriot Supply because I think we have some kind of an affiliate link that I don't think anyone's ever used before. But
Yeah.
you know
should
what's
check
funny
it
though
out.
is
It's
I actually
interesting.
feel bad. Like I'll see somebody with more power and juice than me, like Glenn Beck or something, will have a deal where it's like a $99 for a month of food, and I'll just put up his affiliate link because I feel like, man, you guys should get the better deal than instead of clicking mine where it's like $1.50 for, you know, because you got to wait for the right special, you know.
You do have to wait for the right special. And that's the thing. There's so much to think of. You have to be economical and you
Yeah.
have to kind of put together a plan.
A plan,
A plan.
a budget, a
Yeah.
plan. Buy things
You
when it's
can't-
appropriate.
You do.
Buy ammo when it's cheap.
Yep. So, crops, garlic, potatoes, corn is a good one. Corn is a great one.
Yeah.
But I think you're inviting trouble with animals.
Well, what I was thinking is that maybe I want animals hanging around when
I didn't think of that.
that's,
Yeah,
you know,
because then you could get the
right now,
animals. Now they
obviously-
won't bother it right at the beginning,
and
but as it gets close to being
Right.
ripe,
but also now if the guy who is happy in my house, like Little House on the Prairie and whatever, and everything's good, and I'm inside sleeping at night in my toasty warm bed and with my fireplace, then yeah, I don't know if I want to invite animals around. But if I'm the little prepper compound with 12 people there and I have a person out on watch every night, could they not watch the garden as well? Could I not set up a little perimeter kind of
they
thing?
could. But are they going to shoot through all my plants to kill
They're
the
gonna
animals?
shoot through anything they can to get that deer
But-
cooked up and in the smokehouse.
Well, who's shooting chipmunks is what I want to know.
It does keep going back to that, doesn't it?
Yes.
I don't know. Moving right along past the chipmunks.
So we said corn because you grow the corn, and then you could dry a few ears of corn and then rub that off, and that's seed for your next year.
All right. And corn doesn't grow naturally? There's some weird thing?
There's stuff that looks like corn, but I think you get sick if you eat it.
I've heard that.
What was that one? There's that looks... It looks like corn.
Yeah, no, there is. They actually plant stuff on the outside of cornfields that's for the deer and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then different on the inside that's for the people.
Smart.
And yeah, there's a whole thing there.
Yep.
And then people go and steal corn and they're like, oh, I'm going to go pick that corn. And then they all get sick. And,
Well, there's two different kinds of corn,
and
too.
then it's not good.
There's sweet corn, and then there's corn, I think it's flint corn. It's harder, and I'm sure more people know about it more than we do because
We're not corn people.
Well, I wish I was corn people.
I'm grocery store frozen in the freezer corn people.
Well, we live on a big pile of rock, so every inch we fight for in the garden is very precious. So someday we'll have room for corn or move somewhere.
When we move to Iowa.
Iowa? I thought it was Kentucky.
No.
Who knows where it's going to
All
be.
right.
But somewhere you could have more space for corn, that would be great. I wish I knew more about corn. I do wish I knew more about corn because there's sweet corn and the flint corn.
Right.
So that flint corn is harder. So if you eat it like an ear of corn, you will get sick. But you also dry it out and then grind it for flour. So you don't have to grow wheat. Or although wheat could be a great crop that I haven't investigated anything into because what are you going to do?
You're not out threshing.
Well, you'd have to thresh if you grew wheat, but I don't know anything about growing any of the grains.
Buckwheat.
Buckwheat is a cover crop, though.
That's different.
They grow buckwheat for buckwheat noodles, those oriental noodles I make. So it's got to be some kind of crop, but I think usually the cover crop I know just adds nutrients into the soil. So corn would be another thing, and then we were talking about the different seed collections, and there's a tea and a herb collection.
Right.
But Johnny Seeds has like a great combinations of heirloom seeds. They also have cover crop seeds, cover crop mixes. So you plant like there's oats and vetch and buckwheat. So you plant that. It crowds out all the weeds and it enriches the soil, and the roots of this stuff loosens up everything. So when you cut it short and you turn it over into the dirt, so it's the green compost and it's already aerated your soil, and then you plant your crop in that too. So that's something to consider. Maybe like a couple packets of that if you're going in. So you have to have a seed stash, I think.
Like it.
All right. And then, so that wraps up self-perpetuating crops. Where do you want to go next?
Well, I'm afraid because we're at 48 minutes.
All right. So let's talk about knowledge.
Knowledge?
Yes.
Tell me more.
You got to drop some knowledge. So if you're serious about prepping, which I assume you are if you're listening here.
Right.
Because it can't just all be about the sound of your voice.
No, there's a little bit.
There is a lot about that. I think so.
Moving right along.
So you have to build up some knowledge. So like we were talking about before, getting some practice in gardening, learning about compost. Maybe foraging with somebody who's knowledgeable or taking a class on that so you can find your local flora and fauna that you can eat. And then also seed saving techniques, cover crops that you could grow, different ways to tell if where your site is fertile or not fertile. I'm sure there's crop identification that you could kind of learn about, and it would tell you, oh, that's an acid growing plant. Like if you find blueberries, you know they like acidic soils. So blueberries would grow next to certain things. But also you'd have to learn about how long things take to grow, optimum conditions, how to incorporate poop into your gardening plan, poop management. So chicken poop, rabbit poop, all that stuff. Some things you can apply directly to the garden. Some things you have to age so it doesn't burn your crops. And also harvesting. How do you tell when something's ripe? How do you know when to pick a bean, when to pick a pumpkin, when to pick a squash? How do you know when the best thing is? And then once you harvest this stuff,
wait for you to tell me is how I know.
How do you? What do you do with this stuff? So if you're off the grid and you don't have a big infrastructure, how do you save your harvest? So there's stuff that you can just keep cool in a root cellar or stream or...
a root cellar sounds like what I could be doing with that 3.5 weeks I had to kill.
Yeah. Or learn how to can, how to dry.
Yeah.
All those things, the more that you learn ahead of time, the easier time it's going to be for you to do that stuff. And then... not just for bugging out, but if you have a getaway location, to have screens for drying, twine to hang stuff up with to dry.
And growing beans and all that stuff. I mean,
yep,
that's
all the
another thing
beans
you
and
might
things
really
like
make
that.
Sure is in your pack.
Yeah. Beans are huge. I mean, I left it off my list, but that's one of the things that I really concentrated on this summer because, it enriches the soil. So it's a soil builder, and it's great and healthy for you to eat. It's got some protein in there too, and there's a whole bunch of different kinds of beans. But like regular beans you can eat, green beans are like 40 days. But like the beans that you
like
shell,
beans or...
dried beans,
okay.
take like 70 to 90 days. So that's a super long-term crop that you're going to have to protect and look out for. But that's a really important, easy storage thing because what do you have to do? You shell the beans and put them in mason jars and cap it. You don't have to process it or anything. Dried beans are big deal for a long time storage.
And if you can find a recipe to eat groundhogs, they go hand in hand, growing beans and eating groundhogs.
I would be growing broccoli. Groundhogs like broccoli.
If you were in a track. All right.
Chipmunks like tomatoes.
So we need to find a recipe for groundhog with broccoli sauce.
Can you even eat a groundhog?
I've heard of people doing it. I have a friend. So
it sounds like it would be like musky. They look like beavers where you think it would be
beavers.
Musky and
or giant rats.
Skunky.
I don't know.
So there's a lot to think of. We didn't really cover fruit at all because that's going to be important for vitamin C and everything too.
Well, let me touch on quick, and I'm going to kind of zip through this.
Your guerrilla gardening?
Yeah, kind of.
That guy is a genius.
So I think it's Steve Austin?
Yeah.
You guys have heard me plug this book, or Rick Austin, sorry. And it's a little expensive. Usually I see it's like $29. But believe it or not, I've actually bought it 3 times because I keep losing it. And I'm like, I can't go through life without it. And
I think you lend it.
Yeah, I think I give it to people. And
it
Kevin might be responsible for at least one of them. But the book is The Secret Garden of Survival, How to Grow a Camouflaged Food Forest. Now,
and there's great ideas in there because it talks about building fertility. So you knock down the smaller trees, you make these things. I think they're called hugelcultures or something like that.
Guilds, I think.
And beams, underneath. So it's the rotting wood, plant debris that you already used to clear your land.
Yeah.
And then that decomposes and does fertility. But he has this great plan where it's like a circle area of crops. But if you look at it, it doesn't look like anything. So it looks like overgrown stuff. And who wants to whack through weeds while you're trying to hike and get away from everyone?
Right.
And there's all that food hidden right there.
Now, this is, I mean, one, for your own property, depending where you are, it's an excellent resource. But also, if you had a bug out location, if you spent, I think, maybe one summer out there setting it up, it could kind of be where it's ready to go, even though you're not there maintaining it. And that's what's kind of cool about his thing. So he talks about, like, fruit trees. This is why I kind of steered us over this way.
Fruit trees in the middle, right?
Like, you do a fruit tree and then surround it by, like, first circle would be like onion, garlic, chives, that kind of stuff. Then
because it can grow in the shade and it keeps the deer away. Yeah.
Then pollinators like bee balm and dill, things like that,
to bring all the bees in.
Then he puts like peas, clover, that kind of stuff.
Soil builders, yeah.
Comfrey, and then daffodils on the outside
because that's deer repellent as well.
So you have all this like. What is it, symbiotic is the word I'm looking for
fancy.
Here. You know, they all work together and help each other, you know, like the Indians used to do with their, you know.
I do want to try that too. The Three Sisters.
Three Sisters.
The corn, the pumpkins, yeah.
He also had like the same type of thing, walnut, take like a walnut tree in the middle, then currant, tomatoes, peppers. Now, tomatoes and peppers, they're not going to renew on their own though, right?
Actually, they can because when they grow with the fruit, all the seeds.
If the fruit drops on the ground.
Yeah, so that back of our house, all those tomato plants there are all from.
Okay, so he does the walnut tree, currant, tomato peppers, then like elderberry bushes, mulberry bushes. Mm-hmm. Those will all work together. Now, you really got to get his book if you want to get into like what exactly should I plant and where.
With what?
That's beyond the
scope
of what we're doing.
Walnut trees' roots had toxins or something.
Right, but that's why those things are going to thrive
there.
I mean, that's the thing, right? You're not going to do your garlic and your, you know, with the other. So, just things to look at where, you know, you could have things already established, even just at a minimum, like raspberry bushes, blueberry bushes. You throw them out there, and yeah, they just kind of take care of themselves until, you know, these are things you might, you know, beforehand plan. Mm-hmm. You know, some of your more, if you just built a nice tool shed and threw some stuff in there, maybe spend some time with the chainsaw and stuff while your resources are more available to you to kind of clear land and the bigger trees, kind of have the garden areas kind of sectioned off a little bit. I mean, if you could deal with fencing now, again, this is how much are you willing to do?
Yeah.
If you could deal with fencing and stuff beforehand, yeah, that's awesome. But, you know.
You could also set up like a rain catchment system where rain barrels and hoses.
All about that. He has a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
But these are things you can do, you know, beforehand to keep going. I just know you guys might be getting tired of listening to me. I know everyone wants to listen to Marcia because she's wonderful.
I don't think so.
But, you know, I don't want to bore you too much. But, I mean, there's a lot of neat ideas you can do to establish, you know, beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
But I really wanted to, you know, guys think about, you know, when you're starting from scratch, it's tough. And like Marcia said, to be able to kind of get your hands dirty and do some gardening beforehand, get used to how to grow things, what kind of works, what kind of predators and things are going to, you know, be an issue for you and how to start to deal with them.
It is surprising, like certain crops definitely bring out certain animals that are looking for that, are very sensitive to things being ripe. But you could have heavier duty tools. You could have a wheelbarrow. You could have buckets. All those kind of things if you have one set location already, because that's very cumbersome to carry all that stuff.
Although putting things in a bucket, not a bad idea.
No, always
Even
a good idea.
Made like you had a sea bag that you were going to carry on your back on your way out. If you put a 5-gallon bucket in there and then packed into it, might not be too horrible.
Yeah.
You know, something you could do to take up space. Again, it all depends. How far are you going? How, you know, all these things weigh out. but just different ideas you could be thinking of.
Yeah.
So
Huge.
It's a lot of good stuff out there, and you guys got to just kind of keep learning and keep searching for new stuff. But
I think that's key. I mean, the knowledge, because right now you have the time to spend to go to the library, go talk to somebody,
watch
go
YouTube,
find this, all that stuff. But you want to be
get
well
the Master
versed.
Gardener class and be a
Yeah.
freaking king of the world.
You want to be well versed enough so that when you have to do this and your survival depends on it, you have some knowledge to start, and you're not just, like throwing seeds somewhere and hoping something happens, because you can't sustainably
For
live.
that Johnny Appleseed guy, he made freaking America great or something.
Yeah.
It's a thing. All right, it might be a myth. I don't know.
I don't know, but it sounds pretty good.
He just
Apple
threw 'em.
seeds
He just
everywhere.
walked, hey, apple seeds. How's his bag limitless? I know when I'm throwing seeds, it doesn't last that long.
What about whatever happened with ginseng?
It's growing.
Let's go look.
We have a forest filled with ginseng. You got to wait 2 months.
All right.
September. End of September, there should be berries, and we should be able to go pick some ginseng.
All right.
So what you guys want to do now is you want to go preppingbadass@gmail.com and send me happy notes that, hey, your wife was awesome. It was so great having her on that podcast.
You need help to get in
Maybe
my good graces?
Run over to freaking iTunes and be like, I love that freaking podcast. And Chuck's wife, excellent. And that way we stay in the
nice.
good graces and everything's nice. You guys, you love the show. You can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/preppingbadass. You can also support us by supporting our sponsors. TacPack.com has a great subscription where you can sign up to get cool gear delivered every freaking month. It's awesome. I just got a huge box filled with all kinds of fun toys that we're going through, and it's just exciting to get cool new gear all the time. I love it. And the best part, if you use code BADASS, they're going to hook you up with a free gun cleaning mat. That's pretty slick.
And it'll protect your fancy furniture.
So when you want to lay out all your rifles on your coffee table, and the wife's like, why does it smell like gun oil in here? I don't know. But this mat might help prevent some of those things. Anyway.
But also great stuff to get comfortable with and learn some new capabilities of the weapons you have. And
I like it. Now, actually,
maintenance and
what
cleaning,
she's saying,
right?
This is all true because about 3 months ago, they sent out a new handguard. And to replace a handguard on an AR, you basically have to remove the whole barrel. You have to change the gas tube and different things that pushed me a little bit beyond my comfort zone. But those are the kind of things that make it so you really understand what's going on and how things work. So, I don't know. Kind of, stepping outside your comfort zone is not a bad thing or a bad place to be.
And acquiring some knowledge, gaining some ease and use of what you have. So maybe we could post some lists on seed suppliers and tools.
I could probably put something cool in the show notes for you. Also, I'll see if I can throw some stuff up on Facebook. Also, we're starting to get a little active with Instagram, figuring out what that thing is. Not really sure. Pretty much I just post pictures of cool guns, but it's working out for me. So with that, stay safe, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
The Survival and Basic Badass Podcast is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.